on this week's episode of Be More Super, the podcast, we're in for a real treat because at the moment I'm playing what they call SKYMED Bingo with all my guests. And I've been hunting this guest down since season 1. And finally, I have her on the show. It's Mercedes Morris. Mercedes, welcome to the show, my love.
Thank you so much for having me, Brian. Thank you.
And I'm so excited because now SKYMED is international. It's on Paramount Plus. Last year, for season 1, it got to that #1 spot, and I'm confident that it's going to fly up there straight away to the #1 spot again for season 2. So congratulations on season 2. How did you find out about season 2 happening when you wrapped up season 1? I mean, was it a phone call? Was it an email? How did that happen for you?
Well, it was an email. However, I had switched email addresses. So it went to the wrong account.
Oh, no.
And production was aware, but I don't know, like it was weird. So I remember I was in Montreal at the time, was working on a project out there, and then I got it was like a group message between Keon and Rebecca. And those are like my besties since season 1. And we were talking, they were like, oh, there's a Zoom meeting coming up. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, you didn't get the email? I was like, what? I was so lost. So technically I found out through them.
Oh, wow. Then, well, yeah, just make sure you don't change your emails for any future potential, messages. Who knows? So for everyone under the rocks, people that don't know what SKYMED is, can you give us just a brief sort of rundown of what the show is about and whom you play?
Okay, well, SKYMED is a group of medevacs, right? So we're doing medic stuff in the sky, but medics can ooh, I like it.
There's more to come.
We're pilots. And we are nurses, and we work in the Great North, and we save lives, and we look good doing it. What else can I say? Well, I play Lexi, and she's a pilot. She is the only female pilot, and she's also a Black female pilot, which is even more rare in the industry. So, she does take her job quite seriously, and she's always wanted to be a pilot. Her dad was a pilot, so this is it's a dream come true for her. Yeah.
I mean, the character of Lexi, I've got to say, from season 1 to season 2, it's been such an amazing journey. It really has. And, my heart has sank and it's lifted, and it's just been amazing to watch her journey throughout it. I've got to say, though, that picture there that I've put up of the promo, it's like every time you save someone's life, you all come to the hangar and just chill out. You just zone out, you just strike a pose, and it's great because looking at that picture, you wouldn't guess that anyone's doing any work, to be fair. But if you watch the show, they definitely do. They get their money, well, they work for their money, they definitely do. So what attracted you, and we are going to talk about season 2, I promise, but what attracted you to the role of Lexi at the beginning?
I remember distinctly when I got the breakdown for this character, and there was a line in it that said something like, she has to work twice as hard for half the credit. And that resonated with me because I've always had to work really, really hard for my career, for many things in my life, right? For my success, there's just a certain drive and determination that I have, and I sensed that in Lexi. She cares so much about her family and her career, and also maintaining her integrity throughout. She's not trying to be someone that she's not, and she really tries to hold true to her core values, and I feel like that's what I do as well. So I was like, oh, this is me. I wasn't even worried. I literally, the joke is, I told my mom I booked the job before I booked the job.
Do you do that normally, or was it just you felt it in the waters?
There's certain roles that when you finish that tape, when they say cut, you just know. You just know you killed that audition. And I remember my agent messaged me too, and she was like, girl, This part is yours. And she was so proud of my audition tape that she shared it with the other agents at our agency. Like, I hope you don't have any performers going out for this role, because clearly it belongs to Mercedes.
Excellent, excellent, and it's nice that you thought that way, because it's about self-worth. You know, I think in acting there's lots of ups and downs and a lot of rejection. So to be that
It's easy to
confident
doubt
and
yourself.
resonate. What's that? Sorry.
Mhm. It's easy to doubt yourself.
Mm, mm.
100%.
But you obviously resonated with the character, quite a lot. But obviously, I've had quite a few guests on from the show, and
Mm.
you're my second pilot. I think my first pilot ad was Praneet on, which he was so lovely. Honestly, he's just so nice to have on, and. I didn't ask him this question because obviously with the nurses you get training before you go onto screen, and they had paramedic Steve on site. But for you as a pilot, what sort of training did you have to make your character look as authentic and honest as possible on screen?
Well, in season one, we went into Winnipeg a little early to do some training, and we went to like one of their smaller airports. We got to explore an aircraft. The pilots there actually took us up on a little trip, right? And
Oh.
it was nice to see and understand the instruments that they were using, yes, but then it was also just nice to observe them in their natural state. And there's just a sense of calmness and control that they had. It didn't matter if there was an emergency. They don't really like they're they still have to, just keep it kind
Mm.
of smooth. And so we were able to adapt that and bring that into all of our characters. I will also say we are so fortunate to have our own consultant. His name is Jamie, and he is actually the brother-in-law of our showrunner, of our creator, Julie.
Oh yeah.
So the story of SkyMed was actually based on him and his wife, her sister.
Wow.
They're medevacs, a couple, and they met, and she just loved the fact that, like, look at these two career focused people, but it's this job that's brought them together. So that's why she wrote the show.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I just love. I mean, for people that don't maybe realise that this sort of organization exists, and
Mhm.
we forget about these remote locations.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, with all that training going into season two, did you have to be trained a bit more, or was it a case of, you know what, bring it on? I know what I'm doing. I mean, can you, if you stepped into, I think the plane was a King Air 200, if I'm right in
Yes.
saying,
Yeah.
how confident would you be knowing stuff around that plane? Or because obviously it was a set that you filmed in, which I was shocked at. I was like, what?
Mhm.
Um, but how confident would you be in an actual plane?
Maybe a little too confident. Like, I will say we all of the pilots, we do take it very seriously. Even before the camera is rolling, we do our own little pre-check, and we make sure all of the instruments are in the right position, even to just to start the scene.
Mm.
So we have to know, okay, that gear needs to be down because we're starting our takeoff. The gear can't be up. And no, the cameramen, they won't remember and be able to tell us. They wouldn't know. So we really do have to be accountable. And it's nice that sometimes when there's more complicated sequences, Jamie does send us a recording. But half the time I'm like, don't worry, Jamie, I knew that. I knew that. And I'll tell you a little story. I remember flying back from Montreal one time into the Billy Bishop Airport there, which is, it's kind of, the airport is kind of on the water. So you really have to be mindful of how you land, right? Because there's a limited strip. And I could just feel that this pilot was going too fast. I could just feel it. My little spidey senses was
Oh.
tingling. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was trying not to worry the people beside me, but I was like, he is going too fast. You're gonna have to start this again. And they're looking at me like, how would you know this? And lo and behold, he did have to. reject the landing, and like he went down, we slid, and then had to go back up and try it
Wow.
again. So I called it. So I was like, I'm not crazy. I do know my stuff.
Who knows? You might be in a position where you might have to land a plane. Well,
Yes.
hopefully not.
Anyone on the plane know how to do
Yeah, me? No. So,
it.
I mean, obviously, you've played Lexi now for season one, and now in season two. What has been the most enjoyable thing about portraying her on screen? Because she has some such special moments.
I think it kind of goes back to her integrity. You can see how much she cares, um, whether it be about the job or maybe someone else, you know. um, I respect and I admire just the amount of care and consideration that she
Mm,
puts into everything. I remember the idea of in season one, if you remember, having to like give up your your job, your position,
mm,
just because you know that what they're asking you to do is not right. That's a big
mm.
thing. But she was literally, her morals, her principles were so strong that she was like, I am willing to walk out and risk it because it's what's right, you know. And
Mm.
I admire that about her. So
I, I mean, she's definitely grown. It's great to see a character grow on screen and develop. But I've got to say, how important do you feel it is to, not only represent a woman of color,
mhm.
but also, in the position of that pilot, because I've got two little girls. So now I'm looking at parts on TV differently now. Now I want
Mhm.
more prominent female characters.
Yes.
I want that diversity. And also, if you haven't seen season two yet, spoiler alert, close your ears. But you're now part of the LGBTQ plus community within the show, which is you're ticking all the boxes. And what an amazing sort of role to have. I mean, how important do you feel that is to have on our screens and portray?
Words can't even describe. You know, I do take the responsibility very seriously. I do feel like privileged in a sense to be able to provide that representation. And so I want to do it as authentically as possible, you know.
Mm,
And yeah, like you said, it's really checking off all the boxes. Even in my head, I remember like season one, Lexi was, it was almost like I was allowed to have a storyline that did not
mm.
connect to or have to do with a man.
Yeah.
Most of the time we see, I think that's, what is that called? Like the Brechtel test? I
Oh.
believe it's called the Brechtel test, where it's
Mm,
like this woman's um, focus, her journey isn't wrapped up in a man.
mm,
Like that alone is representation. It shows that we can stand, you know, alone. Like we are valuable. We are deserving of just as much screen time.
definitely, definitely.
as, you know, the men. But yeah, I take it very, very seriously, and I am so grateful to all the fans who are supportive, and just to, I don't want to get emotional, but but like to see them reach out, especially members in the Black community who are LGBTQ, who
Mm,
have even less representation in the LGBTQ plus community. Like that's a big thing. You know what I mean?
mm.
So
The world is
I,
changing. The
it's
world
changing,
is changing
changing,
for
one step at
the
a time, one character at a time. But we got to keep moving forward.
definitely, definitely, because I want my girls to grow up in a world where I've said it before, that they're colorblind,
Yeah.
and the only orientation is happiness. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of it don't matter. But I tell you what happens in season two. I called it when the show got announced. I called what was going to happen. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. And I did have a guest on a while back that is involved within that, and I called it straight away, but they didn't let anything slip. And I was like, darn it, I just wanted confirmation. So I'm really happy. I mean, obviously, you know, the story arc of Lexi, she's gone through a lot, and definitely in season 2, which is just amazing. I mean, what has been your favorite part of the storyline so far to play?
Ooh. Great question. Without giving too much away, there's one storyline in particular that I feel the female audience is going to really connect with. And I've already seen some, you know, some tweets and received a few personal messages just regarding how seen they feel. I think regarding like it's tough to navigate this question without too many spoilers.
Oh, wait a second. I will press the spoiler alert button there. Okay. There you go.
Give me a little bit more freedom here. Well, I think that women navigate the world. We navigate, you know, certain spaces with a certain awareness that most men wouldn't even begin to even think of, right? Something as simple as like when I'm walking home late from work, I know before I even get off of the bus or get out of the car, I'm going to call my mom and have her on the line with me until I'm in safely, right? So but a guy is just going to be like, I'm a dude, I'm tough, I'm walking down the street, like,
well,
who's going to mess with me? You know, but that seems to be, that's like kind of the majority, or at least how society often plays out, right? So, safety, workplace safety, but just like safety in general for women. I think that we touched on that this season, and it was really important. It was really important. Yeah.
And not to go into details, but those scenes so well performed and literally gripping, and I mean, it was great to see the vulnerable side as well as the what we would call the bolshy side, you know, the very confident, very gun-ho, which is great to see. I mean, obviously, SKYMED, you know, got #1 spot on Paramount Plus, and has been doing so well, and especially when we're in sort of a time when there's so much content out there. And it's quite unfortunate that there's some amazing shows that never see the light of day because we're being bombarded by all this content. So why do you think SKYMED is being received so well by so many?
I think it's a combination of two things. The fact that we all kind of have a little bit of an obsession with some of these medical dramas, myself included. I can't lie. But it's a different kind. It's like, airplanes? What? You know? So that extra little sprinkle of something different. The fact that it's set in Canada is different. The fact that
I am representing my Tim Hortons. If you can do any sponsorship there, Tim, get in touch. But yeah, Canada,
that's my Manitoba water bottle from season 1.
Oh wow.
But it's like we get to see different parts of Canada that we don't see, just like the landscape. That it's just a new environment for us. So I think that piques people's interest. But then what's been able to keep their interest is the fact that there is so much diversity in the cast, as well as like within our own storylines, like where we kind of are in life. You know, and I think that people watching will be able to connect they'll just see themselves in someone or even a situation that someone is in. And I have to shout out our writers' room, which is diverse. And that's really important because they were able to all bring in such valuable perspectives. We covered all the bases. you know? And I think
Definitely.
that's what keeps people locked in, that they see
Yeah.
themselves in someone.
I mean, it's definitely covered all the bases. I mean, the writing on this is incredible. That you can pack all these storylines and these characters and these situations, and it just works beautifully. And talking about locations, it is breathtaking. I've never been to Canada. I would love to go. There was a TV program I watched when I was a kid called Due South that was about a Canadian Mountie that had a dog
Uh-huh.
called Devon Baker, and I've always wanted to go. But obviously, there's got to be drawbacks. I mean, is it as beautiful and nice to film in as we see on camera?
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. Like, we were right there on Georgian Bay, and there are times where it's like the sunset is it's just magical. You know,
Mm.
it's like I, nothing I've ever experienced really in Toronto, I feel. And this sounds funny, but the movie Pocahontas, when like when the you can see the wind like
Mm.
swirling around her and it feels magical, there were times where I literally felt that type of magic. Um, yeah, I enjoy my time filming up in North Bay. I will say it does get pretty cold. We
Talking
did
about
have.
talking about cold, we
Mhm,
all like a bit of glamour on set. The performers
mhm.
like a bit of glamour, and what a way to glamorize this show than this picture here. Here we go. Do you know what I mean? Talking about cold. What was that like? So you're playing a volleyball game there. Um, obviously, don't spoil it for anyone on why you dress like that because that's not normal volleyball attire. But I mean, what was that like? Because that's real snow and that's real temperatures.
Yes, and real ice and real risks of danger. Like, ooh, um, okay, that was such a fun experience though, because what we did was we rehearsed some of the sequences. Like, you serve, you return, and you spike. You know, we literally rehearsed them so that it could appear like a legit game was, really going on.
Mm.
Um, but also to save us from the cold. So we got to kind of break it up a bit. And it was so funny. Our director was like, he would ask us on a scale of like 1 to 5, the cold, like, how are we doing? And there was a time we were doing the sequences. I was like, James, I'm at a 4.5. I'm at a, but we just wanted to commit. Like, that was really the definition of teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
We were all in it and everyone knew their part. They played it, and we were able to take breaks and run inside and they had a blanket and hot water bottles, right as soon as we entered the door to kind of warm us up a little bit. I was like standing in front of the heaters, and we, warmed up for 5 more minutes. All right, let's go. We're on sequence 2. And we were, so fans, y'all better watch this show, okay?
I mean, I
We,
mean,
we
I mean, from that picture, you wouldn't have guessed it was cold because
it was
you know what
freezing.
you were striking a pose there like it was a summer's day. Do you know what I mean? But
Oh, here,
I feel sorry for Ryan on the right.
I kind of was in the fitting process. I kind of hinted towards maybe some tight.
Oh,
You know,
bless him.
give me those little like arm warmers, which I've never seen in my life. But we're gonna make it fashionable yet functionable. I like it.
Excellent, excellent. I mean, obviously, you finished season 2. Did you keep anything? I know you've got a water bottle there, but did you liberate or nick, as we would say in the UK, any?
Lucky that I'm in this room. Hold on. This is I have like a little memorabilia stuff from different shows and projects that I worked
Yes.
on here. Hold on. Okay, so um, this one. Okay, boom. Okay. So from season 1, because I'm like, I kind of do want something from every season. So from season 1, I got to keep this, which is like when they're doing like little special effects. It's like it's for the camera crew instead of them going with the
Oh yeah,
slate.
yeah.
Like they write in like what scene and what take, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
So
that's so
I
cool.
kind of got to take home a mini version. But for season 2, I got to keep my pilot badge from season 1. So I did have a new, hairstyle this season. I said new crew, new do. And so I requested a new badge because I wanted to have the braids on the new badge. It's a new look.
Yeah.
And I felt like they were gonna toss this. And I was like, bring it on here. So yeah, this is really special to me, the memories of season 1. But yeah, from season 2, this is what I got to take home.
Do you know what? I'm so glad that you keep something because, I'm a collector of props, and the sponsor of this show, Prop Stories, is one of the world's biggest dealers in screen use props and costumes from all the movies, and it's just fantastic.
I love it.
But yeah, and keep it because you never know, it'll be worth a lot of money in the future.
I know. And 10 years from now, when we're in season 20 or something, who knows?
Do you know what? Talking about that, here at Be More Super, we love our exclusives. Any news at all on season 3? Have you got that email?
I haven't got the email. However, just based on the response from the audience, we have our fingers crossed. We're feeling pretty confident about it, and it would mean a lot to us if the fans could just keep engaging, keep tweeting and sharing the hashtag, share the show, tell a friend to tell a friend, put it on in the upstairs bedroom and in the living room.
Just put it on everywhere.
Do what you got to do,
Go to your local Fry's or whatever electrical store and just put it on every single TV.
On everything. And then keep your fingers crossed like we are, because we would love to have another season. There's so much for these characters to do. There's so many options ahead to explore. Yeah. So I'm sure just like we did for season 2, like how we up the ante, we'll up it again. So yeah.
I mean, up the ante. I mean, I did wonder when I started season 2 a while back, how would they top season 1? And it's off the charts. Literally, it is off the charts. It comes in running, and you're like, what's going on? And it's just such great storylines and straight characters, and we get introduced by a few more like Ryan and Sydney, and it's just a great show. So I'm confident, because the glass is always half full, that we will get a season 3, because rightly so, quality needs to continue. Because we are in a cancel culture, and it frustrates me when shows that obviously need to continue. So we need to get the message out there. Just a few more questions, just a couple more. In a real life emergency, out of the whole cast, who would you partner up with? Who would you say is like sort of the calmest and the coolest in an emergency?
Can't partner with myself, so.
Well, you can go lone wolf. It's fine, but
I'm not gonna lie. I am extremely resourceful. Extremely.
I can imagine.
My little sister dislocated her kneecap a few months ago, and there was an ambulance shortage, or possibly a strike here in Toronto, and after about waiting maybe an hour and a half, my mom called me freaking out because she's like, I don't know what to do. And so I made my way over there and instructed my mom, put down the seats, all the seats, completely flatten it. I found a big plywood thing from one of the neighbors. And mind you, my sister was now laying on the floor in pain for nearly 2 hours as her friends were trying to cover her with their jackets and hold her kneecap in place. She was in excruciating pain. So I got the backboard, which was, to me, it was like, this is SKYMED. And I literally said, don't worry, I've done this in SKYMED. And they all started kind of laughing, but I was serious. And we slid her You know, we got two people. You hold. I was instructing everyone. You hold that side. You get that side. Okay, 1, 2, 3, lift, and we slid her into the trunk. My mom took her time driving, and even when we got to the hospital, they were kind of like, "How did you guys even think of this?" But I was like, "I'm Lexi, honey," you
some
know.
some people fight and some people fly. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yes,
like fight
yes.
and fly, and some people take charge. I'm exactly like that, and cool under pressure. Is
What's
sort
the
of
solution?
yeah, exactly. So what's next for you? Because obviously it's international now. Is it a case of putting your feet up and enjoying all the attention now for season 2?
Just a wee bit. A wee bit. I have been working on a video game project. There was a little announcement on my Instagram about that. If you guys want to follow me on
Oh.
on fancy underscore.
Oh,
And
wait a second. There we go. It's on the screen. Look at that. I'm all prepared, Mercedes. I'm all prepared.
we need you. I might take you to help me rescue somebody. Can I bring you as a partner? I mean, I
Of course
love
you
all
can.
my other crewmates, but you're prepared, man.
Yeah, prepared. But yeah, follow Mercedes there on Instagram. I think you're talking about the Star Wars project, aren't you?
Yeah, the video
Oh,
game Star Wars Outlaws. So that's been really fun. I'm excited for the world to see that. And interestingly enough, I've kind of shifted gears a little bit, and I've started doing some work with the union
oh
here
wow. Oh
in
yeah, I
Toronto.
noticed that. Yeah, on your
Right?
Instagram, I've noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been elected as one of the council members for ACTRA Toronto. So I help create and enforce the policy, for about 16,000 people here in Toronto.
That is
And
awesome.
then they have been just loving my energy, I guess, and my message really. And they put me forward to run for ACTRA National.
Wow.
And I recently won that seat as well. So,
Wow.
you know
There's no
how there
stopping
was
you.
in SAG,
Mm.
and they really had to fight for those
Mm.
negotiations. It was very public. That is some of the work that I will be doing as a part of the council and the negotiating team to really to stand up for our rights,
Mm.
because we as artists, we deserve protection, we deserve proper compensation, we have rights, but
Yeah.
sometimes we're not even fully aware, and so we just
Mm.
kind of give them away. No, it's time that we stand up for ourselves, and I'm excited to be bringing that energy and strength to our union.
Well, the thing is, as consumers, as viewers, we don't really realize any of that
Mhm.
because we pay our subscriptions to Paramount, Disney,
Mhm.
Hulu, or Tubi, or
Yep.
the others, and we don't realize actually how fairly you get treated or paid.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, especially
I've
with
said,
AI coming up.
mm,
You know,
yeah,
the public doesn't think about AI really, and it's like we might see like, oh, cool, that's creative, but it's going to strip away, if not the livelihoods of these artists. We have worked so hard to build these
mm,
careers for ourselves, and to think that a computer could come in and do it like we do, there's no way. Can you
no,
imagine if they had a season 3 and they wanted to use my scan to do Lexi for season 3? Like,
no,
huh? And then pay me like hardly anything? That's insane. So I do think it's important for consumers, for the public to also have
mm,
an understanding of AI and how it's infiltrating the entertainment industry, but how it could possibly infiltrate their workplaces as well if we don't
yeah,
put some
yeah.
cards on it.
I mean, the way I look at it is that when we go and buy coffee, we already do it. We look for the fair trade icon on the coffee
Yeah.
because we know that all the coffee growers and people get paid fairly and treated
Mm-hmm.
fairly. And I pay a lot of money on subscriptions, so I would want to think that that is being filtered out correctly. Because if I love SkyMed, I want to make sure that you're looked after. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. It's
But
fair.
yeah, exactly. But Mercedes, you've been a great guest. Thank you so much for coming on. I look forward
Thank
to
you,
potentially
Brian.
season 3 announcement. I think it was March last year that season 2 got announced. So fingers crossed for March. Might be our lucky month in getting the announcement for season 3. But look after yourself and keep safe.
Thank you so much, Brian. Bye, everyone. Be more super.